And that's a beautiful outlook to like, to do that. And like I said, like the name of the UWF, and also like Herb, like that can be just right there's the foundation, because
Yeah,
everybody deserves to be exposed to those tapes, to like those ideas, because hey, it doesn't matter whether it ended, but like the idea right there, the essence was right there. And,
yes,
the essence, it could have been WCW, it could have been ECW, it could have been other people, like the
yeah,
ones that influence them on them. So I really think,
yes,
Jean Paul,
yes.
tell me something.
Yeah, and especially right now, because now you have all this extra experience and you go into planning it, because the independents in wrestling, maybe not right now, like we said earlier about the pandemic, but I mean the independent scene's huge. You see independent stuff all over, and you
Oh
can really
yeah,
make a name and stuff for to have like the UWF2, or whatever you
right.
decide to call it.
Right. Well, so this is a no-brainer, and I'm not worried about competition. Competition never ever threatens me. It drives me more than anything. But my concept, my idea, is not really mine per se. It's something that's been around already. The NWA had the right idea; they just had the wrong marketing arm, and so you need to go back to like a franchise type concept. And you give meaning to the belt. So like if you have a heavyweight champion, he comes in and fights your heavyweight champion of that district or that area or
The
that
territories, yes.
yeah, territory is exactly the way it was before. And so it's very unfortunate. If you know the story about why we had with Kansas City, when the WWF came into Kansas City, Harley Race was ready to kill somebody because he owned the territory at that time with Bob Geigel, and so that's why Hulk Hogan, had heat with him when he came here, and it was on like Donkey Kong. Well, me being the fan part, I would not appreciate what Harley Race was doing, but now me being the wrestler, I totally understand what he was doing. And there was a like this code that we would have amongst promoters, and so the code was honor that, and we all worked together. That was what it was all about. But Vince said, no, I'm not. I'm not doing the code. I understand Vince's business concept. I get it, but really, it's much bigger than Vince McMahon. It's
Oh
much
yeah.
bigger. Yeah, and
Vince is just more monopolize it, make
yeah,
it a big thing, and he benefits from it. But
right. And he's he gets his kudos for what he's done. That's fine. I just see I see a whole. As a matter of fact, if anything, I want to get Shane McMahon, with all the bumps he's taken for Vince. I can't believe some of the stuff I've seen there. I mean, that's amazing. But I just have to say I had to put that one in there for sure. I had to give him a thumbs up. He takes some
Oh yeah,
great.
oh
great
yeah,
bumps.
matches like the King of the Ring that we were talking about
Yeah,
with Kurt Angle. That's the stuff
yeah,
that he's done. They love they live the business every single
yeah,
day. Wrestling,
yes,
it's like it's like Jean Paul, myself. We wake up is wrestling all the time. That's
right,
our life. We love it.
yes,
It's just something that is in you or is never in you. And that's what
yeah,
it is.
oh yeah.
exactly,
It's
yeah.
what it is. So
And,
like, yeah, go ahead.
well, I did. What you said is that's what I had to experience when I became a father. I had to put that wall and almost forget what when I did, and it was really tough. But hear me out on this part. All of my business, everything that ever had opened a door for me, it was my professional wrestling that people gave me more credit than my business experience. Me being a CEO of 3 different companies, me having 6 companies that I brought from the ground up, to be multi-million-dollar companies, had nothing to do with my with any door that ever was opened up. It was my wrestling. I was just blown away that gave me so much credibility, man. It just blew me away. And it does. You're right. You live it, you breathe it. And so I went through a 25-year hiatus until that Dark Side of the Ring, and I'm back. And I got 2 grown boys. Malachi is my youngest son, and Stefan is my oldest son. And so now it's time to
The wild thing is back, baby.
Yes.
The
Yes,
wild
baby.
thing is back.
And speaking of that, when you were talking about, revisiting after 25 years, do you have some matches, thinking back over the years, what is like the one match that really sticks out that you're like, that's the one where it's like either your favorite or like that's the one where you're like, yep, I know what I'm doing. I'm I made it.
Great question. When I went to South Africa, Sammy Cohen, the father of the Simpson brothers, Steve and Sean Simpson, which those kids, especially Sean, both of them actually, they just had a great look. They're like a Bon Jovi type look. They could have really done something, and I was kind of surprised that they didn't continue. But so Sammy tells me at the very first show that I'd just flown in the day before, he says, "Stevie, my boy, if you want to stay here, you're going to have to handcuff Tiger Singh to the ring the hard way, and beat him over the head with the chair the hard way." And I'm going, seriously? And so over in South Africa, in order for you to become a professional wrestling, it was shoot fighting, just like in Japan. So, you had to actually, it was MMA. That's where all that came from, is, from that. I really believe in that if you become a professional wrestler, you have to really fight your way into it. I like that approach. But so what he forgot to tell me was a joke. Okay. So I had no idea how much all the fans were Muslim, and I had no idea how much they hated America. Well, I found out because when I did this, the freaking security left the building. And not only did the security leave the building, but the guy that I'm just, Tiger Singh, he goes, "You got to get next to me or they'll kill you." So chairs are flying in, the beer, everything. It was just going crazy. And there was a wrestler by the name of Spider. He was about 6'4", 6'5", all tatted up, and older wrestler in his 40s. But my God, I've never seen anyone do this in my life. He parted the Red Sea. It was every person he hit, he knocked out cold. It's boom, boom, boom. And he got to the ring and he says, "Grab the chair, run like a rhino." So I grabbed the chair like this and I ran right to the locker room. Thank God I got there. But the next day when I stepped out of the hotel, I swear, the taxi cabs they're all flipping me off. And everybody, because the TV there's only 3 television stations. So I became this huge sensation, but I was also, people wanted to kill me, to where we had South Africa's very first cage match ever. And so I went right up to main event, there was where we had a tag match with this guy by the name of Scrubber Daly. He's from England, and it was him and I against Tiger Singh and Gam Singh. And the very first cage match, in order to get me into the arena, they had to put me in the trunk of a car. And and hide me. It's because they wouldn't let any of the talent come up the hill into the arena. So I eventually got into the arena, and when our match was called, I climbed up to the top and I'm ripping my shirt off, and I see this fan reach in a bag, and what it looked like he pulled out was like a Smurf ball. And so I'm thinking, I'll let him hit me with it, thinking that I'll kind of play with it, It was a frozen grapefruit, and he hit me right in the eye, and he knocked me. I mean, it literally, the shoot knocked me right into the middle of the ring. I'm going, oh my God, my eye. So my eye is still jacked up. I can't see out of it from that.
Oh,
that
shit.
hit. Yeah, it's blurry. But so, that was one of the biggest things that I can say. Most people don't know that I shot up to the main event, and again, I'm like a nobody. I wasn't the Wild Thing then. I was still Big Steve Ray, but I love being a heel, especially over there. It was, it was really easy. And my tag team partner that came over, Cowboy Rick Patterson. Are you guys familiar with him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, man. So I'm going to give you the very first story about something as well. Okay.
You love it.
You'll love this. You'll be the very first person to know this. So him and I, we went over to Puerto Rico together. Now, at this time, I had a business. It's called Power Shack. Actually, it's Power Shack Gym. It is a franchise, a licensing company that I started. And then I had a distribution company where I would sell to all the gyms and health food stores, supplements, workout drinks like American bodybuilding drinks, and you see in the gyms today. Well, one of the things that I started selling was GHB, and it was legal then. It was something that we could. I would sell. I mean, I sold a crap load legally, and it was in a powder form. Well, when the FDA pulled it off the shelves, I had a liquid form that I never really wanted to sell. I didn't like it because I had some complaints. So that was all I had left of that stuff. And after we got done doing this TV thing, it was another kind of, it was the same way Global would make their approach. You would literally be wrestling on TV for 24 hours, and it was crazy. So the promoter, did a little fast one on me with my pay. And so I wasn't really happy with that. And neither was Cowboy Rick. And so we thought we'd take a couple of those caps of the liquid GHB, and because I don't like to drink, and so that gives you kind of like a little mild buzz, and you feel good and stuff. Well, next thing you know, I'm in an emergency room, and there was these two Abdullah the Butcher looking like twins. I mean, I don't know what their names were, but that's all I remember of them. They're like two twins, and they could do moonsaults off the freaking top rope. I know that much about them. But they're like, Steve, come on, wake up. And when you get off of the GHB, it's like nothing happened. You don't, there's no drogginess or anything like that. How the hell did I get here? And Rick's over there, at the side is same thing with him. He snaps, wakes up, and he goes, "What the hell's going on?" And unfortunately, Terry Funk was there. There was some names there, and it was like a bad gig because that's not really my style. That's not what I do. I'm not known for being some freaking pill popper or drug taker or anything like that. I was just, I just wanted to chill. And unfortunately, that's what ended up happening. But that was Cowboy Rick Patterson was my partner in New Zealand and South Africa and there in Puerto Rico as well. So we would help each other, get booked in different territories. And man, I have to tell you, the Cowboy Rick Patterson, he is just a great guy. This is the thing that you'll laugh your ass off. When you're cruising with the talent, right? You're driving stuff. He goes, take the wheel. I'm going to look at the map, So I take the wheel, and he's looking at the map. And then I said, well, I'm pointing down at the map, and I said, well, I think we need to go this way. And then we fly off the freaking road, in between us, road, one of those big road signs. We were in between both poles. He had the Camaro. It was out in Iowa. And he goes, I told you to take the freaking wheel, not look at the map and take the wheel. The patience he had with me, man, I swear to God, that was the funniest thing in the world. But, the New Zealand thing too, I shot up, where that was a face in New Zealand. And man, we ended up going to New Zealand in 6 weeks. We flew there 3 different times. And so a lot of air miles came out off that gig. But so what I really loved about New Zealand is that we wrestled in every town. So I got to experience the whole New Zealand, North Island and South Island. where one experience that happened to me, if you want to ever think of like a rock star type experience, is in a town called Invercargill. I had the blessing, I guess you're going to say, of experience something like this, where the girls were busting, they were trying to break down the door to get to me in the locker room. And I mean, they were boom, boom. And I'm going, what the hell? I had the towel on and they broke in. And that's all I had was my towel. And I grabbed my bag and I'm running down the street and the boys are freaking playing with me. They won't let me get in the van. They called it a combi. And I'm like, let me in. And anyway, they ended up grabbing my towel and I'm butt ass naked getting into the freaking van. And that was like a cool ass experience. But at the same time, I'm butt ass naked. So
those experiences can only happen in wrestling.
Any
other business, any other profession, no.
Yeah. So that was there were some other things that happened as well. They had some crazy stories that happened there as well. So I'll let them tell you their stories when they come on air with you guys.
You gotta hook us up, hook us up with the Nasty Boys. We want to hear, because one of them is from Allentown. This is really closer where we are.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I can hook you up with a lot of talent, especially. Yes, I will help you out for sure. The other thing that you'll going into the stories that happened into New Zealand, that's where I experienced my very first major injury, where I torn my ACL. And but
is that pretty common in wrestling, right? Because a lot of wrestlers get that.
Right.
Like, that's pretty common.
Well, and guess how I did it? It was for a match of 35 people. We had a show that it ended up not getting promoted right or something, or the dates were wrong, and they made up their mind. Well, let's go ahead and entertain the 35 people. So I thought I would try a new move, which is what Macho Man does off the top rope.
Flying elbow.
Yeah, and it didn't work. I ended up landing the wrong way. I mean, that's a very difficult maneuver to do. Some people it's just natural, but you really need to know how to drop your body just right. And so I didn't do it just right. And the way that my leg landed, I twisted my knee just where I popped that ACL. And so that was, the curse of. I also say that when when you're around a small audience, you don't have that adrenaline going either, so you actually feel that pain. It's a whole different, scenario. But yeah, that was. So I having those experiences, and then running into the UWF being around the superstars of WrestleMania 3. I mean, these are. Gods. Yeah. And I'm around these guys, so I have to have the personality, or not personality, the confidence to be able to be beside one of these guys, and it's somewhat intimidating, but I couldn't display that on TV. So, the struggle between that, showing that confidence, it's really like a light switch. That's all. It has to be like that. But, I have to say to those people out there that are, you have your extroverts and you have your introverts. A lot of guys are introverts that are in the business. They put on that mask and then it changes everything. So that was one of the, things that I would say that was probably, I still even question myself today. It's like, damn, how did I do it? Because those guys to me were just amazing. They, I really felt like, and that's what Herb did. It was a Herb thing. So I kind of worked my way up the ladder to get to that point, and that's where I felt really blessed for the whole business. And then when Dark Side came out, I didn't, it wasn't a work when I teared up about what I said about Herb Abrams. And to be honest with you, they didn't even show you they wanted to show the good guy, bad guy side of Herb, right? So you only saw 1/16 of what was actually said. But that part, man, it just, I can remember when Brian Blair took me over to his house in Beverly Hills. His eyes when he was looking at me, not a homo type thing. It was just it was like, wow. He goes, you got something. And I'm going, I do. And because I was always smiling. I had a smile on my face 24/7. And you got, I got something for you. And so, that's where the step brought me into the business. And the other thing too, I didn't have a problem. I wasn't ego driven to where I had to win every freaking match, because the bigger picture is what I was looking at. You knew the
business, then you understood it.
I understood it, right? So, if you looked, me taking a fall with Dr. Death, it brought me. He gave me the gift that it gave me. So, that's something that for all the young talent that's out there, that for them to take in consideration, it's very important that you honor and always respect the guys that have been in the business for a long time, because that's, they deserve that. They deserve that type of honoring, and you see it more in professional wrestling. You see it in any other sport. So, I would say
the hierarchy,
yes, yes.
Wrestling 101, right, Jean Paul? We've heard that right here. Steve Ray, the wild thing. Yes. Professional wrestler right there is telling you guys, don't try to call the match if you're like an outcomer.
Right.
Just be like right there. Let the old person, let the professional wrestler establish. Yes. Let them dictate, and then the payoff will come after that.
Yeah. Well, what do we always say? If you book a match correctly, both guys can get over. Even if because one guy loses, but if you do it correctly, both guys can get over with the audience.
Yes, exactly.
It should be nothing else. You know exactly what you guys are right on. That's exactly.
Jean Paul is the best booker in the business. That's why we call him. Yeah, because it's like you said, after a good feud, both ends have to come out strong.
Yeah. Did you let Jean Paul let him know that I'm going to be in New York in January?
Yes.
Yeah. So
we're gonna meet you, and then we're gonna have
that'll be part 2.
That will be the part, even part 2, 3, we'll see. But it's great to learn from you, like Steve. And I just want to I also ask you, then what happened? How come you never signed with the WWE then?
Well,
that's the question right there. The anesthesia, because a guy like you, pretty much like the main figure on the UWF,
right?
They could just took you and just be like, hey, well, you gotta pay your dues, maybe a little bit. But
so
what happened there?
Herb was a little bit upset with me about this. He had some ambition of making me the heavyweight champion, and so there was some talk about that. And then, but I was being sought after with the WCW and Vince, and where I was being sought after for Vince was. That was the same time that Shawn Michaels with the Rockers, Marty Jannetty had his little episode of problems, and so they were wanting me to fill that spot. And when I got there, I had no idea that Shawn wanted to go solo, so he really wasn't for it. And I said, well, if he's not for it, he doesn't feel it, then I don't want to be the I don't want to be the sad part of that story. Well, they tried to do this, but this just didn't work out. I didn't feel it. So they were thinking, of other angles of what they were going to do. Meanwhile, I get shot over to Dusty Rhodes, and I had a match with Ricky Steamboat. I think it was him. My buddy Rick Rude, he said he didn't want to compete with me because we both had airbrush gimmicks, and so even though we were like friends, he was man, you're gonna have to change that gimmick. We both can't have airbrush stuff. And I'm going, well, what the hell would I change? It wasn't that was not a conflict really, but it was kind of funny because he's a good friend of mine. God rest his soul too. Well, so so that's where I was at, guys. When I found out I was going to be a dad, I was going back and forth. I mean, I was literally there. I was at that point of making it to that, that golden gate bridge that everybody wants to be at, and
breakthrough. Yeah.
And so when I made that choice to be a father, it was a God bless me with that grace of giving me a beautiful, healthy son. I'm so grateful for that. And, the fact that I got to be in my son's life was, more important to me than me being that rock star that I was so close to having. So, John Paul, you need to book me. You need to get me back into the business, and I got to get.
Do it, John Paul. Do it, John Paul.
Yeah. So
I said we'll put you over. Don't worry.
Okay. If I have that, I'll give it that shot. I mean, I'll give it my best shot too. I'll put my heart and soul into that, me accomplishing exactly that. But the storyline that I want to envision it to be is really about God. Number one, I'm all about the man and the fans, and like giving it all back. Like, here, it's yours.
A little bit of like what Shawn Michaels did when he came back in SummerSlam. Remember, like, it was like Shawn Michaels has done something that not a lot of wrestlers is like kind of express their faith.
Yeah, yes, and he understands that, because there is okay, as you grow older, like about every 10 years of your life, you have these experiences that humbles you, and it makes you really see the bigger picture and get it. So I was filled with ambition as a kid. I really wanted to do big things, and a lot of what I received had to do with timing. I was just in the right place at the right time. They're better wrestlers than me. They're more talented people than me. I was just very I don't know. Let's just say it all was flowing at the right time.
The plan was right there, the right place, the right time.
Right.
And I had moving you, putting you there. There you go.
Right.
Cool.
And what I didn't do during that time is I didn't thank God, publicly enough to show my appreciation for what it was that I was receiving. So I feel like right now that's what I need to make up for. I need to make sure that he knows that I know he's number one, especially with a world of entertainers that are trying to bring the Illuminati and all that other stuff into the ball game. I'm not about that.
Oh, well, yeah, like I said, Shawn Michaels was like he's been really public about that, and that's
right.
He was able to actually turn that around in a time that like nobody was allowed to talk about like religion, faith, or anything. And he came out in SummerSlam. He got the Corinthians. That was like the one of the best things that talking about Jesus' resurrection. That's what it was. I remember that clearly. Yes. So like Steve, like, would you like to be a trainer though? Like, for example, let's say the Performance Center, anything of like that. Would you like to like become a trainer, like teach the new talent, the new outcomers? Is that something that you would be interested in?
Okay, great question. I don't feel, just so you know, I don't feel that I am the right guy for that. And so I would have to take a bow to that, because I feel that there are wrestlers out there that most of your best trainers weren't anything of being on top. And so I feel that takes a talent that's above my pay grade. I mean, really, if I wanted to do someone justice, I would make sure that they went to the right trainer who I felt was the right one. Where my gift probably would be in the business more than any would be the promotional marketing side. If you check out my Facebook thing, I'm doing something different and new. It's like these little montages of building a brand. So I'm trying to bring in the visual effects, and if you watch it, it's almost hypnotizing when you watch the things that I'm creating. So I'm trying some new things, a new twist. of marketing, and I would love to, do it the same thing for you guys. If you want any help with that, let me know, and I'll help you, with your brand building. So that is where I think I really have more of a, I think from a, outside of the box, that way out here. So I get rid of the box, and now I'm in the ultra universe, and I'm looking at, all angles of what I
in
got.
the road break universe. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So
No,
I like that type of thinking. I like the different mindset that,
But what about writing, Steve? Like, you wouldn't
I
be
would
able,
love to write. I'd love to write.
like,
Yeah.
for example, storylines,
Oh, yeah.
because, for example, let's talk about, like, have you watched the current product, like what they put
Yeah.
on? Like, what is your
Well,
take on that?
Okay, another great question. I wouldn't do it unless I had full control. And the reason why you have to have that kind of mindset. If you don't have that, I can't go in there, like, I'm very grateful that you let me be a writer. No, I want full control, because if I have to bow to somebody else, then I can't get my, the big picture of what it is that I'm going to put on a performance. It's going to be something that it's a Mozart. It's Beethoven. It is the quintessential. I want to leave my mark on the business, and I want to leave it in such a way that it doesn't get erased, and that it gets remembered. And it gets remembered because it doesn't come collectively from me. It really comes collectively from all of us. And you learn that, you understand that, you appreciate. That's called synergy. And that synergy right there, man, it's explosive when you're all connected as one. They call it the singularity as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I
probably that's the way. Jean Paul and I always talk about this, because there's all reports that say that Vince is the one that, like, gets the final shot, the last final call on everything, and that's why the product right now is really not good. It's something that they struggle every single time, because he doesn't give other people the chance.
Yeah, you're so right. But one of the things that I would say too with writing, you have to really listen to the talent itself. They already have a lot of the storyline, so it's really a matter. It's everyone gelling, right? Everyone getting along. Everyone, once you get the body rhythm, or the battle rhythm is what we call it in the military. Once you get that boom, 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 everyone's feeling it. Everyone's on it. No one's throwing the offbeat unless it sounds right. Then when you throw the offbeat, you can actually allow the offbeat to happen, because it's understood. Then you got the other offbeat, so it's like it starts progressing, and it takes more. Basically, if you understand where I'm coming from, it allows growth. It's not micromanaging.
Yeah.
It takes away from the micromanaging, and it allows the mindset of all of us collectively hitting it. And man, and the fans really do play a big role into this. So if you want a finished product, that's you got to have your fans involved.
Right.
And see, that just shows what you said earlier about the military training and planning every scenario and thinking of every possible variable. You just pretty much did all that with wrestling, but the problem with Vince is he's so out of touch. It's not what the fans want, and let me have chemistry with the boys. Let me find out what they want to do. Let's work it into something. It's just what he wants, and also what the writers give him. And it's like, if you don't like what the writers give you, then you should be down there in the trenches and writing the stuff with them. But there's too many problems to try to fix that.
Yeah.
Was like Herb like that, Steve? Was that Herb like that? Like, will he get you guys' input? Will he receptive with input?
He actually needed to have a booker more involved. Herb should not have been the matchmaker, but he did have the where he wanted to be the overseer of everything. And I think that there would have been, I believe that I could have gotten him into that mindset. I truly do, because our friendship, it would have been some massaging, to have that happen. But let's just put it this way. If we don't do it, and if Herb never did, all it hasn't been done, and there's a great opportunity for it to get done. So once it is done, then, you know, who goes to the top? We already know. We already know who's going to climb to the top. You principle, that mindset and principles govern. So, you know, sadly, Vince would not be able to you know, fight that. He wouldn't be able to. If you don't believe that principles govern, and you think you're going to challenge a principle, you're not. It's that's just, you know, the sun rises on the, you know, from the east and sets. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, some things you can't change.
Yeah, you can just change some of the few things. Yeah. Mr. Ray, thank you so very much for the opportunity that you gave us. Like, we just enjoy your company. We're really thankful, and, you know, for everything that you've done, and like for sharing all the stories, for sharing your knowledge. So, you know, like, any closing thoughts for you, your fans, everybody that is watching you right now?
Let's do something unusual and different. Let's just say a little prayer, just a quick one. Nothing, you know. It's just a one to. Thank you,
you carry the lead. Carry the lead.
All right. Heavenly Father, please bless this nation. Please give us all the insight and the vision that we need to see so we can do your will, and we can take on new adventures that you will us to do. And Father, thank you so much for the opportunity, for allowing me to be on this show, and also allowing me to be the Wild Thing. Your grace is amazing. I want to say to my brother that passed, I love you, and to all the wrestlers that are no longer with us, we love you. We miss what you've given to us, so we really appreciate you. In your name, amen.
Amen. Amen. So thank you so very much, Steve. You know, we love you. Like I said, we will already, like, we'll book you for night 2 or 3, you know, with like more stories, more like knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
You know, family. Don't forget to check Steve, you know, Steve Ray on Facebook. He's right there, you know, got all the stories, all like the knowledge right there for you. And don't forget to check us out. You know, we're like on YouTube right here on the original Raw Break on Facebook, the original Raw Break on Instagram, and the OG Raw Break on Twitter. And also don't forget our newest home, All Everything Entertainment, for this interview, part 2, part 3, everybody there. So Jean-Paul, Steve, you know, one more thing that is left to say. What is it, Jean-Paul?